Free Smoke the podcast. Sitting here with the ghetto boy himself,
Yes,
GB,
sir, yes,
man.
sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I feel good.
Appreciate you pulling up. Merced pretty much is in the building right now.
Yes, sir. Merced 209.
Any of your house flooded?
Nah.
Because I seen some of the posts where it's like Merced was underwater damn near.
Yeah.
Sacramento got hit tough. Just the whole
that.
California is getting flooded, bro.
Yeah, I saw that. Nah, just certain areas of the town got impacted by it, but fortunately not ours.
Oh man, that's good because I couldn't imagine having to deal with flooding and shit like that.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at it. I was driving past it. I was like, damn.
Nah, man, that's
crazy.
That shit's crazy. Well, let's just get started from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
What was Merced like growing up for you?
I mean, for me, just the people that I hung around with, my friends and stuff like that. I could recall maybe from like 11 years old and on. Just, you feel me? Just being knuckleheads, you know what I'm saying? We love that adrenaline rush, you feel me? Just getting into certain things. And we didn't think much of it, we didn't think of the consequences like that. So we lived and we learned, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because, I mean, for people that aren't familiar with Merced, it's like a farm town kind of, right?
I wouldn't say necessarily. I would say like maybe the outskirts of Merced are.
Okay.
It's more like orchards and stuff like that on the outskirts.
Uh-huh.
But actual Merced it's a pretty cool town to me. It's divided into certain sides of town. There's downtown. The freeway, the 99, is mainly what splits up a majority of it.
Yeah.
One side of the 99 is considered like the hood. Then it's downtown. Then deeper, there's certain sections too of the town to where it's expanding, so they're building new homes. We got a junior college, we got a university, we got the Yosemite Lake where everybody goes in the summertime. So it's a cool little compact town, you know what I mean? The farmland is usually like on the outskirts. Once you start driving outside, you start.
Okay, but so you would consider it relatively small?
Yeah, for sure. It's like maybe like 90. Anywhere between 90 and 100,000 population.
So it's kind of like everyone knows everyone kind of vibe?
More so, yeah.
Okay.
For the most part.
Okay.
For the most part.
So growing up, you grew up coming from a big family?
Yeah, well, I grew up, like my family, my mom and dad, they immigrated from Mexico over here. They landed in Merced. And then from there, just bounced from home to home, trying to, settle in. And but I had a lot of brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest of 8.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow,
we're like first generation.
Yeah.
Feel me? So we came with nothing. We didn't know nothing. And just wherever we're at, we kind of established it ourselves. And our family is growing now, you feel me? But
from my understanding, it was you and your sister were the only ones really born in the States?
It was actually me. My sister was, I think she was maybe 1 or about to turn 1.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I just got fortunate.
So just parents were on the grind?
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah, really. I mean, it was a struggle. I was born, they came 1990, I believe, and I was born 2 years after. So, from my understanding, like the stories they tell us, they got here, they were on 12th Street for a while, and they really didn't have nowhere to go. They just kind of landed without a game plan. You know what I mean? So they were, it was just rough for them. You feel me? Bouncing around, shit like that, and until they kind of.
Did they have to like finesse their way into the States, type of thing?
I believe so. Yeah.
I don't want to get it too tricky, but
Yeah, I believe. Yeah. Now everything's legitimate. Everybody got papers and shit like that.
But back then, it probably was a little different time, right?
Yeah, and it was a lot different, obviously, back in the 90s than now.
Yeah.
I'm sure with all the legal stuff and whatever else they had to deal with, I'm sure it was a lot different.
So did you guys have any other family that came and just like migrated with you guys?
Well, from what I heard was that my pops was here first, and they was staying on 12th Street with my uncles. So he was like, I'm gonna go back, get the family, bring them back. But when he got back, they were gone. They had moved.
Damn.
So they're like, oh shit, like what are we supposed to do now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's not like you could just call on a cell phone
or
figure it out like that.
Yeah, so they was just like, man, we got to figure it out. But eventually they did. You know what I'm saying?
No, I feel it. So then when you come here, like, do they speak English or
Not
anything
at all.
like that? Okay,
nah,
so
they didn't speak English. They knew nothing about nothing because Mexico is like, it's almost like there is no law. You know what I'm saying? There's no structure. That's why it's so hectic. And out here, everything's fucking real strict.
They ever told you stories about trying to make it to California and shit like that?
Because
that in itself is just a dangerous mission, right?
Yeah, I don't. I think they might have told me, but as far as I can remember right now, none that I can remember.
Okay, damn. So you were a child of an immigrant, basically.
Yeah.
In this place.
Child of illegals for sure.
And you you learned English your first language, or?
Nah, it was Spanish. I learned English like in kindergarten,
Holy
I believe. And it's crazy because a lot of people that I went to kindergarten with, I grew up with like my whole life. You know what I'm saying? But not everything we learned as a family, as an individual, everything we learned from scratch. So it's like we learned English. We learned fucking everything.
The hustle?
Yeah, everything. Yeah. It's just like everybody chasing the American dream, but it's just like, what do you do when you get the opportunity? And we're like, man, we gotta just ask questions. How do you do this? How do you do this? And it's not like we could ask our parents or our older siblings because they don't know either. So we just gotta figure it out on our own.
You feel like that kind of puts a battery in your back of just to go as hard as possible?
I mean, it definitely gives me the reason. It's like, there's no excuses. There ain't no excuse. Like my mom's, she came here like with nothing and got everything out of it. So me, like, I said it on a podcast before, a lot of people like misconstrued it, where I was like, it would be disrespectful for me not to be successful now. Like, she did the hard part. She crossed the border. She learned whatever she had to learn. And then me, like, I got papers. Me, I fucking, I know English. Me, I'm at a young age type shit. So I ain't got no excuse to fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like the little things we take for granted sometimes, where it's like, oh man, it could be way worse. It could be way harder.
Yeah, off top. Yeah, so it definitely instilled that in my mind. Like, there's no excuse to fail. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that. What was it like growing up with like a big family?
I mean, everybody was pretty close knit, as far as I remember. It was. I mean, we didn't have everything. We didn't have money. We didn't have like expensive clothes. We had like hand-me-downs. Grew up off beans and rice and shit. You know what I mean? But we were happy because we didn't know, what we know now. Like, oh shit, there's this side of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were just content with what we had. So, and we're all like my siblings. We were all like different ages. So.
Like, what's the biggest gap? Because you said you're the youngest?
Yeah, so I think my brother was like 18 when I was like, my oldest brother was like 18 when I was like, maybe like 4 or 5, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
And then everyone else is in between that?
Yeah, so, and everybody's like a year or two apart, you feel me? So, everybody comes from a different generation. He was in high school in the 90s.
Facts.
Feel me? So, he got to experience that era. And so on and so forth. I consider myself growing up more towards like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
That was like my teenage years and shit. So everybody kind of grew up fast. Like, I just remember having a childhood with my family up until about that age, maybe like 5, 6. And then they started having kids, moving out, getting kicked out the house because they started, learning the American way. Like, oh shit, we go do this, we go do that. Everybody was just fucking up. And at that point, it kind of almost became like a dysfunctional family, but we were still really close.
Did they kind of introduce you to the streets? Like older brothers and shit like that?
Nah, not necessarily. I mean, I seen them like, do certain shit, but I would say like around the time I was like 11, that's when I started, I hopped off the porch. Like 6th grade, and then just
And what's that look like in Merced? Because typically when people think of like gangbanging type vibes, they're not really thinking of Merced, right?
I mean, everybody has their own perspective on Merced. Everybody, some people are like, it's a farm town.
And don't get me wrong, there's hoods everywhere, you know what I'm saying? It can get grimy anywhere, but like, break it down for me.
Well, shit, I mean, like I said, everybody knows everybody. You feel me? Everybody got their own crowd. You know, I hang around with this crowd, this crowd, this crowd, and I'm not too sure how to really break it down. It's just
Like, how did you get introduced?
just people I hung around with, like school, like the bus I caught. You know, we got off with certain people, and you know, somebody gets an idea, fuck it, let's go do it. Comes with a consequence. You don't think much of it, or sometimes, like me, like I said, like my family started like moving out, you know, so I didn't really have my brothers or my siblings to chill with, so I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna go chill with my homies. And that's who I spent like 90% of my time with, was my homies. And
Did your parents kind of understand what was going on, or?
I don't think so, and I don't really blame them looking back, because you know, they have 8 kids to keep up with, and then they have work, and they have their household duties, so they're probably like, at the time they might have been like, he just out, I don't know, he's out with his friends maybe, until they get a knock on the door from the police or something. And then that's the time where they might have started realizing, like, oh shit, he's headed in the wrong direction. But by that time it was too late.
Okay, so
I was already into
what were you like in school? Like, were you really popping thiz and going to school and shit? I think you said that in a line, right?
High school for sure. I was we was popping pills. Well, it was during that whole hyphy era.
Yeah, for sure.
Me? And that whole era didn't, you know, it originated in the Bay, but it didn't just stay there. That shit spread everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we was on. We was listening to Mac Dre and a lot of Bay Area artists, popping pills and shit. The house parties, that's all they was playing, was Bay Area music. And yeah, I mean, like around 11 and shit like that, when I hopped off the porch, that's when the tree came in and other shit came in, started drinking, doing all that type of shit. And then it eventually, you know, progressed to pills and other shit.
Was it like a predominantly Mexican neighborhood? Or like, what kind of people did you grow up around?
Mainly Mexicans.
Mainly Mexicans?
Yeah, Mexicans for sure. I mean, I had like black homies, white homies, Asian homies, but the majority of my friends was Mexican.
And like, did you feel like you had to join?
Nah,
or
not
was it
necessarily.
like something you had to click up to like defend yourself, or you know what I'm saying, shit like that?
Nah, it was, I mean, not necessarily speaking about gang shit, but it was more just the people you hung around with. You know what I mean? It was more like you know, they're like, you know, your brothers in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that's my boy. You feel me? I grew up with them and this and that, and they showed you certain type of love, so on and so forth. And we just grew up together, so we didn't really see nothing as like being involved in the gang type shit. It was more just like a lifestyle.
Yeah, because I heard you breaking it down in another interview where it's just like, these are people you looked up to. They showed love. They cared. They, you know what I'm saying? They're, you know, breaking you off some dollars sometimes, or, you know, whatever the case may be, just kind of looking out. So it's like, of course you're going to look up to people who are showing love like that, you know?
Yeah. And that's the love that we seen in the streets.
Did it ever, when did it become real for you? Was it?
It became real, I mean, I've been arrested and shit as a juvenile, and juvenile hall, fucking, I've been in and out the county once I got out of high school, but it got real when I got my first case. When I got my first real case, like, I've been down for a pistol, you know, like being in a stolo with a pistol type shit, but that wasn't a real case to me. When I got my first real case, it was like part of an indictment, and I was 18, fresh out of high school. And that's when it got real. I was like, oh shit, I'm facing some real time. And it ain't like little kid shit no more. And I was 18, and everybody else locked up with me was way older, like, feel me, early 30s, 40s. So I was like, man, I felt like at that time I had to really step it up.
It kind of hit you. You were getting tried as an adult?
Yeah, I was 18.
Okay,
I was in 18.
And you had already done time before that, or like in youth authority, or?
No, it was a juvenile hall, and I've been in the county before. I'd done like a couple months in the county, shit like that.
And that shit never spooked you? Like,
not really, because when because you hear stories, so you become curious to find out, and in the streets, that's like considered a cool thing. Like,
yeah, you gotta earn your stripes.
You earn your cool points and shit like that. And so we was all like, we know we're headed there someday. And when I finally went, I was like kind of nervous and excited to see what everybody was talking about. And I went in there and I knew fucking everybody.
Really?
Everybody knew everybody. So I was like, oh, I'm cool, right? I'm chilling. Yeah. And especially when you know you got a release date. That hits different. You're like, I'm out of here in 3 months.
Okay.
I'm out of here in 6 months. Like, I'm not tripping.
What was the longest amount of time you had to do?
I think straight at that time, it was 2 years.
2 years?
But it was almost entirely fighting my case.
Okay.
So, you know, at that time, I didn't have an out date. I was fighting for your freedom, you know what I'm saying? And when they finally offered me a deal, I think they were like, you know, you got like 6 months left if you take this deal. I was like, fuck it.
So you said you got indicted with like a lot of people, so they just did a whole sweep type of thing?
Yeah, it was a sweep.
And so all these people are getting locked up. You're just like, fuck, like, what were you ever, like, what were your thoughts when you were locked up? Were you just like, damn, man, this is, it's getting...
I mean, I was 18, so it wasn't to how I think now. At that time, I just remember me for sure, like, taking shit for granted. Like, damn, like...
Some fuck the world shit?
More like kind of just, I would say, just being ungrateful for what I had, you feel me? I was like, man, I could go to sleep whenever I want. I could eat whatever I want out there. Just being with my family, calling home during Christmas, and there's like, yeah, everybody's here chilling. Like, damn, I could have been there too, but I was out there on the streets, you feel me? Shit like that. And then I remember at one point, I just lost hope because shit happens in jail too. So I was like, fuck it, I ain't never going home. You feel me? Catching more cases in there and shit like that. So I remember just losing hope. Like, fuck it, it is what it is. If I don't go home, I don't go home. This is what it is right now, and I gotta forget about the streets while I'm here.
Yeah, like how do you keep your mental like state in a, you know, when you're locked up? Like
I think just accepting it. You just accept it, like, I'm here, what can I do about it? And doing shit to distract yourself, like working out, feel me? I used to draw. I used to do all type of shit. I was very productive while I was in there. I used to read the dictionary, just do all type of shit. I used to cut hair in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fire.
All type of shit, yeah.
So where does the music come into play in this story?
Oh, okay, so... Like I said, as far as I can remember, like in the 90s, I used to slap. I think the first rapper, who was it? My sister was in middle school, I think, or I think she was in middle school. And she brought home some lowrider tapes. And I don't know if you remember the emblem. It's like a circle with some shades.
Oh, yeah, and the dude with the mustache and the hat. Yeah, the lowrider shit, for sure.
Yeah, it was like one of those. And she slapped it, and she used to slap. If I'm not mistaken, it was some stuff from out here. It was Kid Frost. This is for La Raza type music. And I was like, damn, this is pretty dope.
So your sister put you on?
Well, she just used to play it around me.
All right.
And then she used to play hip hop because, like I said, everybody comes from a different era.
Right.
So hers was like the 90s hip hop. Then my brother came home with like, when they started doing the burn CDs, he came home with an Eminem tape. And then like the whole Death Row, Bone Thugs era. Like, I grew up listening to that music around me. So I just became intrigued with it. And I remember me and my brother, we saved up, I think it was our birthday money, and we bought the Chronic 2001 when it dropped. And I remember unwrapping the CD, popping it in, just letting it run all the way through, shit like that. So I've always been into hip hop as far as I can remember. And it's just at the time, especially in Merced, we had no access to like a studio, or, you know, we had no clue that was even possible, especially coming from where we come from. So I just always wanted to make music. I've always wanted to, you feel me, be a rapper type shit. Yeah,
because like what is the Merced rap scene like at the time? Is there even a rap scene?
There was, but it was local. It was more local. Like there was a rap group called Lowdown at the time, It was a group. I don't know how many there was exactly.
And is it based around like the gang shit?
Yeah. It was really influenced by the streets.
Okay, so they're talking their shit on the tracks.
Yeah, they're talking.
And,
yeah,
you know, there's a lot of politics in the music and Merced type of vibe.
It wasn't really too politic. It was just more like just hood shit, I guess. And I remember slapping them. There was another artist by the name of Young Drew growing up. It was just all more local, like, you feel me? It wasn't as, like, you feel me? You hear about everybody now.
Because I'm coming from a Sacramento mentality where it's like people associate Sacramento rap scene with, like, op music, like gangster, like dissing each other's sides and shit like that. Like, was it like that? Or it was just like just gangster rap?
It was
you know
just gangster rap. It's for everybody type shit. And, yeah, it was low down at the time. But I just never knew I could rap. You feel me? I never tried writing my own lyrics or my own music. I would just rap you feel me, another song, like a song, somebody's song. So what broke it all was I was in high school one time and I came home. You know, you're running around the street. This is the time where motherfuckers had bikes. Yeah. You feel me? You was outside type shit.
Before cell phones and shit.
Before everybody had a cell phone. And even if people had cell phones, we were too broke to have one. Mm-hmm. Feel me? So we never had that shit. So I come home and I'm all sweaty. It's like a summer day. You don't really give a fuck about shit like that. So when you get home at that time, you look in the rooms like, who's here? Who's home?
Yeah.
I see nobody there. So I go into everybody's room like, who's here? Like, nobody's here. And I see a little black round MP3 player on the bed. I think it was in my sister's bed. And I pick it up, turn it on, and it was the little earbuds you put in. And it was like Low Down, it was Woody, like a bunch of artists that I listened to. Uh-huh. And I'm like, oh shit, like this is all shit I could fuck with. My sister walks in and I'm like, whose is this? It's like, I think it's your brother Omar's. So I go to Omar's and then I see him in his room. I'm like, hey, this is yours? He's like, yeah. I was like, how much you want for it? He's like, I don't know, she want like $20. Pull out $20 out of my pocket. I'm like, here. And then, oh, no. Right before that, I skipped a step.
Yeah.
So I see this little hole in it. And in the hole, it says MIC. So I'm like, the only thing I can think that stands for is mic.
For sure.
So I go to the settings, and it says record. And I can't hear myself playback. So I'm just like, yo, mic check. I push stop, and I push play, and I hear myself. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, this is what I need. Yeah, it was like a dream come true. I'm like, oh shit. I don't know where the fuck to get a hold of a studio. If I do, I can't afford it. So this is just, I found some gold, right?
For sure.
So then I went to his room and I was like, how much you want for this? He's like, $20. Give him $20. I go to my room, and then I see I have a burnt disc at the time, and it was one of the game's first like mixtapes type shit. Because the song's like a minute and a half, but he only raps the first half of the song, and the rest is just the beat.
Oh, shit.
So I seen that, and I just started, I didn't even know how to write bars, and I wrote, and I just kind of calculated it, like, however long, because I knew how to rap over a beat, but I didn't know how to write music.
For sure.
So I was like, how am I going to do this? So I had a boombox. I played the song, and I put the MP3 player close to the speaker, kind of like how I used to record a voicemail. You feel me? And as soon as he was done, I just hopped in.
Wow.
And I played it back. I'm like, oh, fuck. And I didn't know about mixing and mastering and all that shit. So to me, it sounded right.
Oh, this shit's hard. Yeah, I'm a rapper now. I was like, this is
hella clear, right? So I went, and he was popping at the time. I forgot what the fuck year this shit was, but he was popping. And I remember I went back to school, and I told my homies, I was like, hey, bro, I made a song with the game last night. And they was like, hell nah. And they was like, yeah. I was like, look, listen to it. And they heard it. And then when I came in, they're like, oh, fuck, you did, right? They're like, where'd you see him? Like, how'd you, all that shit. But then I was like, nah, I'm fucking around. This is how I did it. So I used to do that shit for fun. Now I had, like, something else to do. Yeah. Whenever I wasn't in the streets, I would come home and do that shit. You feel me? Just kind of practice like that.
For sure. Because, I mean, as an artist, those key moments where you unlock the tools to really make your shit is what takes you to the next level.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, just the fact that you had the wherewithal of just like, all right, I want to record this shit. I just found this little recorder. It says mic. I'm about to just figure out a way to do that shit.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah, and looking back, I'm like, damn, motherfuckers didn't really have it like that. Now they could just pay for studio time.
Even you could just get an Amazon kit and just get it sent for $50 and just figure some shit out, you know?
So that's how it all started. Then I started like I would come up on some stolen shit, like a stolen laptop or something. And I remember my boy took one of those like Reed 180 mics from the computer lab, and we just kind of put a fucking janky ass set.
Right.
And we used to use like a trial software.
Oh yeah, the bootleg one.
We had like 14, 30 days to make, you feel me? And after a while, like, you couldn't use it no more because your trial was up. So then you had to get a different lab.
Refresh it.
Yeah, all
like
type
that.
of shit. So that's kind of what we was doing to fuck around with the music shit. And then it wasn't up until this last time I went to prison, I would see a lot of rappers in there, and it was dope. It was real dope, skilled rappers.
Yeah.
And majority of them was black, of course. You feel me? And they would do like little ciphers, like, you know, they would take their turns busting rhymes. And at that time, I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. So I was in my cell, and I was like, damn, like, why am I here? Like, I want to know why I'm here so I could do what I'm supposed to do. Like, is this why I'm here so I can get to it? And I couldn't find a reason. Like, damn, like, I knew I was fucking up, but I thought I was doing cool, you know what I mean? And at that time, I went down for a firearm. So I was like, fuck it. I don't know why I'm here, but in the meantime, I'm gonna write raps. I was writing raps in my cell, and I would hear other rappers and shit rapping on the tier, rapping in the day room, and
just like beating on their chest and shit.
Yeah, beating on the chest, on the table, on the cell door. And after a while, I was like, man, I need to get this off my chest. So I was like, hey man, I was like, y'all mind if I get in? And they looked at me like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right.
The fuck you gonna talk about a little Mexican kid, right? They're like, fuck it, you know, let me hear something. And I was just going. And they was just like, oh fuck, like you got some shit.
Yeah.
And then I was in there with I got transferred to a different prison. And then I had a new neighbor, and it was I didn't know who he was at the time, but it was I think they used to call him Royal. From Mindless Behavior. So it was him. He came in, first thing he did was just start rapping. And I asked him, I was like, hey, you be rapping on the streets? Because at this point, I still didn't know nothing about the music shit. I was just backdooring in the janky setup.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah. He's like, last time I was in the studio with Ty Dolla $ign. It was Khalifa. I'm like, no shit. He's like, yeah, I was signing Interscope.
Damn.
And I knew all about the shit just because I've always been in music, so I do my homework.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you was signing Jimmy Iovine and them? He's like, yeah. He's like, I was like, what's that like? You feel me? How do you get money out that? What are you supposed to do? And he was just giving me straightforward answers. We get royalties and this and that. And then he let me borrow a book called, I think it was like The History of Hip Hop or some shit like that. It was by Dan Charnas. And I read the whole shit.
Wow.
And he was just like, man, a lot of people were telling me like, bro, you should try rapping when you get out. Like, you're pretty good. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it. So I paroled. I think it was 2017. And I asked my probation officer if I could rap. And he's like, nah.
Because it will violate you, right?
Yeah, you'll violate me for it being like gang related or whatever the case. So in the meantime, I was just, you know, still writing raps, doing my homework on YouTube on how to distro music, what you need to do, all this shit. And as soon as I got off probation, I just got to it.
Really?
And it just took off from there.
Wow, so this guy in jail kind of breaks down the business for you? A
little bit.
Basically kind of gives you and then you just, it's snowball effect? You learn the game like that kind of?
Yeah, not in a way, because I was still confused. Like, bro, there's more to it.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, while I couldn't rap, I was working a 9 to 5. And when I'd come home, or even when I'm at work type shit, I would just look up, you feel me, how to distribute that, you feel me? And they'll be like, oh, you know, you need to get this, ISRC codes, all this other shit.
YouTube University?
Yeah, what is an ISRC code? Like, boom. I would just spend hours on just researching this shit. And then just putting up whatever little change I could to the side to invest in studio time, to invest in beats, to invest in mixing and mastering.
Wow.
Shit like that.
So how long is the time between you get out, you're on probation, and then you get off so you can start rapping? Like,
I was supposed to be on probation for 3 years, but he's like, if you complete this program after work, it was called the GEO program, which is like a re-entry into society. So you go 5 days a week, Monday through Friday.
Right.
They do random P tests. Mondays like parenting, Tuesdays anger management. Wednesdays like a different, so they just kind of reprogram you, feel me, to re-enter society.
Did you have your daughter by then?
Yeah, I had my daughter. Yeah.
And how old was she?
She was 11 months when I got out. So I just made it for her first birthday.
Holy shit! So you basically, your daughter was born while you were locked up? Yeah,
the first time I ever saw her was the day I got sentenced. I got sentenced to 3 years.
Holy shit!
And she was in the courtroom, like probably like a week old.
Oh my God.
I just got to see her, but the judge wouldn't let me hold her. And first time I met her was in prison in the visiting room.
Damn, what was that like?
It was I was nervous.
Like you get sentenced and you see your baby girl and then you just gotta go. Like, yeah, that must have hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a crazy time.
Do you feel like jail rehabilitates, or it makes
depends.
It makes you more of, you know what I'm saying, like a criminal type shit?
It depends. I guess everybody's different. It took me a couple different times to go to jail before I actually, matured, I guess. And everybody has a different experience in jail. A motherfucker could be in jail for like 3 years and not see shit or go through shit, have a smooth cell, and then a motherfucker be in there for 1 year and go through hell. And it's gonna reshape them.
Did you see a lot of crazy shit in jail?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Fuck. Any crazy stories or what?
I mean, that I could speak on? Shit, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, everything.
Because, I mean, you rap about a lot of shit. So, it's like, you just riots and all that shit is pretty wild in there, or what?
Yeah, I just went through one prison riot my first time in prison.
And what was that shit like?
It was crazy. Like,
Did you know the protocol?
Nah, I didn't even know. It was sudden. So that's just in there. You just got to be on toes. Like, you never know what's gonna happen, or who it's gonna happen to. And at that time, that was the first time I ever tried to bake potato. It was in prison. So keep in mind, right? I grew up stuck in the hood, right? Stuck in the town. I never left the town. I never had a reason to leave town. I didn't have a way to get out of town. Like, we was just stuck. Feel me? All we know is just the streets. You earn your stripes. You put in work, and that's it. You're just destined to be dead or in jail. So with that being said, like, I ain't even, bruh, keep it 1,000. I don't think I ever tried a steak till like 2020 or some shit.
Holy shit.
I bullshit you not.
Holy
like,
shit.
We're stuck with this mentality that this is all we got. Until a motherfucker really shows you a different, like, nah, bro, this exists out there. So that's why I try to show a lot of the youth, like, bro, there's a lot more to live for than this shit. But going back to the baked potato, I was like, what the fuck is this, right? It's just a fucking potato, right? And they're like, nah, bro, you open it and you put this shit in there. And it was a prison baked potato, so it wasn't all loaded,
done
fully
up.
loaded.
Yeah.
You get butter, and that's it. And the butter's liquid type shit. But that shit was so fire to me.
I was like, you fucked with it or what?
Like, bro, this is fire, right? So I knew on this day we was getting a baked potato, right? So I come down, I go to chow. Oh, my ear kind of itchy. And I come down, I'm like, fuck yeah, you know? And at the time, the protocol for you to go back to your cell, like, they would call it by the rows. It was, this was in reception. So for those who've been to Delano, it's North Kern, reception, they'll know what I'm talking about. I think I was like in B6, building 6. And, damn, I get fucking goosebumps just saying those words. But it's like they call it by the rows. First row gets up. Second row gets up, turns in their trays and shit. And what was it? That's where I learned to eat so fast. Because as soon as you sit down, they're like calling rows. You're like, oh, fuck. And you eat like in 3 minutes, maybe less. And
some shit popped off?
I sat down. And then I know the protocol, like, to get up and shit. But this time, everybody stood up at the same time. And it wasn't even like, nobody said nothing. I don't even know how the fuck I stood up. I think it was just the energy and like your senses or some
For
shit.
sure.
Because I stood up too. I stood up and I'm like, why the fuck am I standing up? Why is everybody standing up? And everybody kind of just like looked at each other, kind of, just what it seemed like. It was happening so fast.
Yeah.
And it just started, it was like a tornado. Like everybody just kind of just started
tumbling?
Yeah, just like, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I didn't know what was going on. I stood up and I kind of just got like in a defensive position, like, hold on, what's going on? And I seen one of the homies fighting another dude. And when I seen him fighting the other dude, I just knew. I was like, boom, okay, boom, this person. So now I'm looking for the nearest dude, and I just follow suit. Boom, 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 boom. We start getting it.
Holy shit.
That dude's like down, like in a fetal position now. And I'm not the type to like, especially in a situation like that, like I'm not gonna prey on the dudes that's already like defenseless. Fuck it. I see the homie struggling with a big dude. I was like, I'm gonna go help them out. There's like 4 on this dude. They couldn't take him down because he's big.
Yeah, for sure.
And we start taking that dude down, and then you just hear at that time, I was like, I'm gonna take a step back and kind of just see what's going on. And you just hear the alarm. The tower's like, everybody down, but nobody's listening, of course. And then you just see the shots firing.
It's like the rubber bullets, or the
I don't know
sand
what they
bullets,
shoot, like
or whatever.
Wooden blocks maybe.
Okay.
And then you just see the COs running in, kind of like in riot uniform, and there's like kind of like tear gas, kind of. And then I see people still getting off. So I take like a few seconds just to kind of look at the scene. And we got it under control. We got the upper hand.
Yeah.
The only thing I could do is help them, beat other people up.
So.
But at that time, they kind of had everything suppressed already, like under control. And I remember that time was rough for me. Like I was getting into some shit like that or seeing some shit like that, what seemed like every other week.
Holy shit.
So that's when I had lost. I was like, yeah, I'm not going home.
Fuck.
But at that time, I think I was probably like 30 days to the house. And I remember when they had everybody down on the ground with their hands behind their back type shit, I remember my nose was bleeding. I don't know why, but that shit was bleeding. And I remember at that time, like that's like evidence, like you part of the fight.
So that means you're not going to go home in 30.
Yeah, I was just like, man, like,
they fucked me up. Yeah, like I
so
got
close.
caught.
I'm just like, fuck it. But I managed to rub it off, and it wasn't nothing too crazy. I don't think they charged anybody for that shit.
Did you get to finish the baked potato?
Okay, so when they took us back to our cell, they popped the door like 2 by 2 and let everybody grab their trays and shit. So I think
got it back. Fuck, man. Yeah, no, I could imagine how crazy and all the wild shit you see in jail. I couldn't imagine. So then you get out, you get to see your daughter, or like really get to spend time with her, right? She's 11 months.
11 months, yeah.
And then you're focused on this rap shit.
No,
but you can't really rap yet?
Yeah, I can't really rap. And when you're on probation or parole, like you're under constant scrutiny. They look at, like, it depends how strict your PO is too, I guess. But mine was, he was on his shit. They would look through like your YouTube history.
Damn.
Yeah, if you listen to any game related shit, it's a violation.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy
in Merced,
shit.
at least.
Yeah.
It could be different in other counties, but I couldn't have no alcohol, even though I was 21. Can't drink alcohol.
And where were you working at the time?
At the time, I was working at a spot. I was delivering roof gutter in those like semis and shit, and it was crazy hours too. But that's all I could think of when I got home. I was like, bro, I gotta figure this music shit out because this isn't what I want to do.
For sure.
So I was still being like a full-time parent. I've always been there for my daughter since I got out, and yeah, it was.
And then
it was dope.
And then when do you start seeing like people fucking with you? Like when do you get off probation and then you go hard on this music shit?
As hard as I could.
Yeah, right.
Financially, yeah, because it's a lot of investing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, what was your first music video like?
My first.
Do you
music
remember
video?
that?
Yeah. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. The cameraman, shout out Admire. I started with Admire before I started fucking with other different type of directors. He didn't know what he was doing. We started fucking around with it a while back, a little bit. He started with like a GoPro. Then this time I got out when we took it serious. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't have a stabilizer. Once again, we're working with what we have.
For sure.
We're just trying to like watch whatever's hot and try to do something similar to it. Just finding random spots in the town, shooting.
Did you like your presence on the camera, or is that something you had to learn?
Nah, at the time to me it was dope. I was like, oh yeah, this is dope. But now looking back, I'm like, damn, I look so stupid. You feel me? And the one that took off was we did a song called Intro. We shot it in the hood. I just kind of sent a message to the homies like, hey, we're going to meet here at this time on this day. And then Admire showed up with his camera. His camera fucked up like right before the shoot. So he had to grab a random camera. No stabilizer, all handheld. He was directing it. I didn't know what I was doing. We didn't know what we were doing. At that time, it barely started getting in the town. Like, GB's popping in the town right now. He's starting to get his name in Merced.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gang Task was on me. Every music video, they'll hit it.
Pull up,
take people to jail.
Probably watching your videos too and
shit.
Yeah,
yeah, all that shit. They hit that one. We got footage of it in that video. But I was off the paper, so they couldn't fuck with me. And we shot it. We released it. It did cool numbers. I think we did like 45K in like 2 weeks.
And then what are you thinking when this shit's...
I'm just like, oh shit.
45K, that's a lot.
In 2 weeks, yeah, with no name. Like, I didn't...
Organic?
I was just barely coming up. And then shortly after that, Thizzler reached out, and then they kind of, showed me like a different...
Did you guys drop the video on Thizzler?
Nah, this was all off my
shit.
YouTube. Yeah, I think like in 3 months, I racked up like 10K followers on YouTube.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, just off the little or nothing we knew.
Damn,
we didn't know nothing at all.
That was probably really motivating as an artist, right? You're just like, all right, this shit.
I mean, everything was trial and error. Like, we're gonna try this. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So at that time, I was like, oh fuck, like, it's working.
Because did it take time for you to really be like, okay, I'm an artist?
No.
Like, you always looked at it like that?
Nah, I've always been a regular person to me. It's up until recently, when you start talking to all these bigger name people and everybody just knows who you are. It was probably up until recently that I was like, oh shit, like I'm an artist, I guess.
You ever feel like stressed out or pressure, like being a rapper, or like just having to maintain views or keep the machine going?
Nah, I'm not really like, how'd I say it? Like, the most important thing to me is, at this point, is like my family and where I come from. That's always going to be first in my life. This rapping shit, I finally processed. I've seen so much people pass away, so much people close to me, go do a long time in prison. So I know that this shit could all be gone at any time, any day. So that humbles me to be like, this rap shit ain't shit to me. You know what I mean? I do it for my supporters. I do it. There's some kid out there. I get a lot of messages like, your shit helps me through a lot. I've been got messages to where it's like, I moved out here to chase my dreams, and I've been living in my car for 6 months, and your music's the only thing that's keeping me going. So I do it for people like that. I do it for, you know, my genuine supporters. I don't do it to keep up with another artist. I don't do it to, I mean, it feels good, you know, knowing that you accomplish certain milestones. But in the end of the day, my main goal is to be able to support my family with this rap shit and to motivate the next person to do the same thing and chase their dreams.
And you feel like you're there right now, like making a full-time living off this rap shit?
Yeah, I feel like I finally, and I'm learning something new all the time, but at this point where I'm at right now, I feel like I figured it out. I figured it out, and now the rest is just grind. Like
in terms of like your formula on how to make a song and what works and what doesn't work and shit like that?
Like I know what's gonna, like, I guess you could say I kind of foresee shit. And sure enough, it happens. Whether it takes overnight, some shit, I think about it, or I talk over it with somebody, and the next day I'm like, I'm there.
Do you believe in manifestation?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like you manifested this? Or it just kind of happened?
I manifested it without thinking it could be possible. I would just dream of it. But the more you dream, the more you want it.
And you took action on the dreams.
And exactly. And the more you want it, because like I said before, like I didn't have, aside like my 9 to 5, I didn't have no other source of income. Just because of the constant scrutiny I was under, I wasn't able to do much. So I resorted to like, fucking an hour of studio time is maybe like $50. So like I would like recycle cans, you feel me?
Damn.
Yeah, and fuck it, this is gonna pay for an hour of studio time. I could probably knock out 2 songs in an hour. Now I need to come up with the money for gas to get there. You feel me?
Yeah.
So everything was like that, like shit really from the ground up. So I was just always like, there's no excuse.
Do you feel like coming from Merced, you had a bit more to prove to everyone because it's like they kind of don't really know or kind of, you know?
I mean, to me, like I love Merced. I don't give a fuck what the fuck anybody got to say about it. I love Merced. I'm always gonna represent it proudly, regardless of what anybody says. There's people that are like, oh, I lived in Merced for these years. Like this, and like you didn't go through what I went through. You had your own life. I don't know what the fuck he was doing in the town, like. But Merced, like that's where my whole life took place, and I got stories like crazy that happened there. And when it started getting out to the public, I don't give a fuck about putting Merced on the map like other people say. Oh, you're putting Merced on the map, you know, this and that. They could think or say whatever they want, but it seems like, have you ever heard of Merced? Like in the past or something?
Well, I mean, I only know it like just driving through from Sac to LA, just seeing
like,
that big
but like
thing.
Anything, like so from after this, you're gonna be like, what do you have to say about Merced? Like, I mean, is there any artists out there you heard about?
GB.
Okay, exactly. So I feel like I'm the one that put it out there a lot. I don't take credit for it, and I'm not taking credit for it. But the more I put it out there, like I seen what people had to say about it. Like, oh, there ain't shit out there. There ain't, you know, this and that. So it definitely put a lot of pressure. In that case, like,
yeah, because they try to say, well, oh, it's not, you know,
it's
like,
not this.
It's not.
They try
the
to make it seem
Bay,
like if it's not
the
Bay or LA, it's not important. Like, nah, bro, California has hella towns and cities.
For sure.
And there's talent all over the fucking place.
I mean, Sac kind of had to deal with that too, you know, like, I would say, like, you know, a while back where it's like we had this, like, cloud of, like, okay, we have our own identity. Like, we're not the Bay at all. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not even from the Bay, and I know that.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
I was like, what are they arguing about? Like, Sac ain't the Bay, and they're not even trying to be the Bay.
Yeah, so I could imagine coming from Merced, it's kind of like the same energy where it's just like, no, we got our own identity. We got our own shit going on.
Yeah,
like,
we ain't trying to be like nobody. We just run with what we got there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because, I mean, it's all about respect too. It's like, it's not just because we say we aren't this doesn't mean we're dissing it. It's just like, nah, we're just trying to work and build on our own shit, on our own.
But one thing I gotta say too is, like, in Merced, like in prison, right? When somebody comes from a certain place, like, you know what to expect from them. And that's one thing that we do got. Like Merced County, when we go in there, like another homeboy, I say, where you from? You know, I'm from Merced County. like we got a lot of respect in there. Like they're like, all right, like we seen a lot of solid individuals and like motherfuckers with the shit from Merced. So, I mean, on the streets,
I'm sure it gets real in Merced, bro. Like,
yeah.
So that's what it's cool. I mean, it's cool that you get to represent that, you know, and like, because I would say your sound, it has like a old school feel to it in a sense, like the storytelling aspect, you know, the beat selection. Like you could tell you're from Northern California in a sense, but it's different, you know, and that's what I think is important.
Yeah,
especially in this music game. I mean, even your voice, your delivery, all that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I try to switch it up. I try to be versatile with it. But in the end of the day, I don't know. It just you know, same way when I make music, I kind of hear how I want it to sound before I even do it.
How long does it typically take to make a song for you?
It just depends. I mean, if you're in the mood, if I'm in the mood for it, if the energy's right, it could be like I used to write songs like in 20 to 30 minutes. Like a lot of the songs that I first started with was like 20 to 30 minutes. And it also, to me, it has to do with your, believe it or not, your health. Like if I eat healthy for like 2 weeks and like drink hella water, like that affects my thinking, rather than if I'm like drinking every other day or I will smoke every other day, like if it shall cloud my thinking. Yeah,
like in terms of mental health, I know I've heard some of your bars where you're talking about just like, you know, drinking alcohol when, you know, kind of wasting your time doing that. Like, are you still on that shit? Do you still have to like fight demons like that?
Nah, well, we grew up drinking since we was kids, you know, fishing for beer at the liquor store. I remember when we was little, we used to, we didn't have money like that, so we would put in like a couple dollars each and we'll get a big ass bottle of Taka type shit. And it was just to get us faded, you know what I mean? It's just what you do on the block. You see everybody doing that, so you just want to do the same shit. And so I grew up doing that, so I was so used to it. Last year, I think, was my last year going crazy with the Don Julio, and the year before that, I was going crazy with it too. But I was getting accustomed to the lifestyle, you know. Once you start living this life, it comes with a lot of, I guess, perks. You know, you start partying a lot more, after hours, clubs, shit like that. So it comes with it. But nah, like these last 6 months, I've been cool. Like, I definitely shook that shit.
That's one thing I've been having to deal with. I'm just like, all right, man, let me just chill off the liquor and the weed for a little bit. You know, let me just try to.
Yeah, and that's crazy too, cause like even when I'm in LA, like, or doing a podcast, I usually have like a little something to drink.
Me too.
And right now I'm just like, man, I'm trying to just drink some water.
Usually I got a blunt, bro. So this is new for me too, dog. I'm gonna be real. It's called Free Smoke the Podcast. I ain't even smoking, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just one thing where I'm just like, all right, man, I just want to challenge myself and just be like completely aware of what's going on and not have to resort to like getting high or like taking a shot to sit down and, you know, be in this uncomfortable position or whatever the fuck it is, you know. So that's kind of where my head's at lately, but you know, we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't bad to do it every now and then, but I'm trying to see like how long I could go without it in general.
No, that's facts.
Every other week and or something, have a couple drinks, but none to where it's gonna affect what you're gonna do the next morning.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of wasted time and money in that shit for sure.
No, that's real. Yeah. When we first met, you pulled up with the Backpack Boys, right?
Oh yeah, No Jumper.
Yeah, No Jumper. How'd you get linked up with them?
It was random too. Shout out to Backpack Boys too, man. Shout out Q. I was chilling one day. I had a studio session, and I get a random call from one of my boys, and he was like, "Hey, the Backpack Boys reached out. They want you for a feature in a video." I was like, "It's good, you know. This is my set price." And he called me back. He's like, "I said it's good." I was like, well, "All right, when are they trying to do it?" They're like, "Right now." And I was like,
"Fuck,
what?" And then they're like, "Yeah, they want you right now," and it's like a 2.5-hour drive. It's like, fuck it, you know. The money calls. The money calls. You know, I took it as business, and I pulled up. I met Q. He's a straight, you know, businessman, hospitality. It was just love.
Yeah.
Pulled up, knocked it out for him. We exchanged numbers, and that was that.
So like they asked for a verse?
For a verse, yeah.
They make music, or how does that work?
It was like I think it was one of them maybe.
Okay.
Like they got, you know, certain rappers they fuck with and shit.
Okay.
And that's it.
You guys just been locked in ever since?
Yeah, well, that's all I thought of. And he was like, what was it? It was, what made me like fuck with them was they was opening up a store in Long Beach. And I had a show that day, I believe in Sac or Stockton. And it was, I could have made a couple bands that day. And one of my boys, JP, was like, I seen you just locked in with the Backpack Boys. I was like, oh yeah, I just met them. He's like, they're good people to know, bro. Like, you know, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know sometimes. And excuse me. So he's like, that's cool. Like, I highly recommend you fuck with them. So I kind of thought of it overnight. Their grand opening was the next morning, and my show was the next morning. So
you had to make that decision.
I called the person that I came in contact with the show. I was like, hey, I'm not gonna make it. I was like, what? Like, it's last minute. I was like, yeah, my bad, bro. Some shit popped up. The next day, I left to LA. I came, and my boy's like, oh shit, you made it. I was like, yeah. And that was probably one of the best decisions I made is locking in, because ever since then I've been fucking with them tough, and like family now.
Damn, that's sick. I mean, that probably was a tough decision at the time.
At the time, yeah. It's this bag. Because I was like, bro, like I could either get this bread, but it ain't always about the bread. I chose the opportunity, like, you know.
Yeah, they say your network is your net worth.
Yeah,
some shit like that. Nah, that's real. I want to talk Letter to Myself.
Oh, okay.
That's the first song you released this year?
First drop of the year, and this is my first interview of the year.
Oh, let's fucking go. Yeah, man, because I feel like on that track you kind of just broke it down. Like,
yeah,
I liked the line you said, you got to go through hell to make it to heaven. And you feel like you've gone through hell?
I firmly believe that I've gone through, you know, my version of what hell could be like. That song is on the new album. The new album is dropping late January, early February. Still trying to set a release date right now. And that album was written because a lot of people talk about the good shit and a lot of people talk about the bad shit. I mean, not too many people talk about the bad shit. A lot of people talk about, you know, like the money and all the shit it comes with. A lot of people seem to rap a lot about homicides nowadays. A lot of people seem to rap.
You feel like they kind of glorify it?
Yeah, I feel like they glorify it in a way. But at the time, I was thinking I was fighting a case. I'm still fighting a case as we speak. Damn. So I feel like, and they bring up my music in court, and they break down the lyrics, and I'm like, damn, like, that didn't even sound that bad when I said it, but you motherfuckers make it seem like I'm a fucking serial killer or some shit. Well, that's what it comes down to. If you really, I recently seen like Young Thugs.
Yeah, the whole YSL thing.
When the judge read his shit, that shit sounded horrible. But the song ain't sound like that. You feel me? Yeah. But that ain't something we're thinking about when we making music. But I was like, okay, this next album, I gotta really watch what I say. So, and then I was like, everybody talking about the good, they don't talk about the bad. Like, you know, in order for you to have, you know, see the light, you got to go through the dark.
Some growth.
Yeah, in order for you to have, you know, the good, you got to have the bad. In order for you to know what being rich is like or having money, you got to be broke.
Yeah.
Like, there's two sides of the game. So, I decided to name the album Horns and Halos, being like the good and the bad. So, when I heard the beat, shout out Call Me Johnny too, he be going crazy. He sent me the beat, and it just, this one of the ones that just came. I was like, and a lot of people ask me, like, if you could talk to yourself 10 years ago or your teenage self, like, what would you tell them? And that's just what I went based off of. I was like, bro, okay, like, this is, you know, you're doing all this shit right now, but, you know, try to slow it down. And I know you like music. I recommend you pursue it. And, yeah, like, that's what that song revolved around.
I mean, I could feel it in your voice. Like, you hear it. You got something special, bro. I'm gonna be real, man.
I appreciate it.
Like, that song resonated to me, even though I'm not a street dude. I was just like, crazy. You know, just trials and tribulations of life. Sometimes you gotta just really go.
Yeah, there's motherfuckers going through things that we don't know about. You feel me? Even like me and you, we could be in a room. We could be at the bank. We could be having dinner at a restaurant. Everybody in that building is going through something different that we don't know about.
For sure, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, so they could look out for the new project?
Yeah, this is the first time I ever mentioned it too. I haven't posted about it, nothing.
Let's go.
Starting it off, what an album. I got a couple music videos in the vault. I'm shooting a music video after this. This is consistency. That's all that 2023 is for me. Yeah, consistency.
I feel that, man. Hey, I just appreciate you pulling up on a Sunday morning. You guys don't even know we're recording this on a Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, man. We had it scheduled for evening. He said, "Look, I got a video. Can we make it a different time?" I said Sunday in the morning at 11. He's down, man. So just that in itself says a lot about you and your character.
Dedication, man. And I had a couple parties to go to last night. But I still made it priority. Like, I got to get home at this time and go to sleep at this time.
Man, well, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you sitting down. I wish you a lot of success. You know, we got to lock in for a video maybe.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Set some shit up.
For sure.
But yeah, man, appreciate you pulling up.
Appreciate the
invite. It's been Free Smoke the podcast. Like, comment, subscribe. We out, man.
Sir.
Let's go.